Was I expecting for this movie to be kinda not good? Yes. Was it kinda not good? No, it was actually pretty good. And you know, I always go in with an open mind, especially when it comes to the Toy Story franchise, but I genuinely don't know how they do this. Why am I tearing up in the cinema for the 5th Toy Story movie? It's just... If you guys don't know, Toy Story 5 actually centers around Jessie and her relationship with Bonnie, which makes sense because Andy's story has already come to an end. Bonnie, who has grown up playing with toys, struggles to make friends because most of the kids her age don't play with toys anymore. Why? Because they're constantly on their tablet devices. And so one day, Bonnie's parents decide to buy her a LilyPad device. She is literally on that thing all day. She wakes up straight away, LilyPad. I mean, her reflexes get hardwired for this device. Even I'm not that quick with my phone in the morning. I at least acknowledge that I've lived to see another day. Naturally, Bonnie begins to neglect Jessie and her other toys, especially because the friends that she makes on the LilyPad don't play with toys at all, and so make her feel bad for playing with them. And so the story unfolds with Jessie attempting to save Bonnie from this path of doom and destruction that is an iPad addiction. Sorry, a LilyPad addiction. It's not all about you, Apple. And we see quite a bit of Woody and Buzz in this movie. Of course, Jessie is our main girl, but they don't take a complete backseat, which I was happy about. What did take a backseat was Woody's hairline or lack of hair. That's not funny. What I loved so much about the message of this movie was that it wasn't centered around the idea that all devices are bad and therefore children should stop using them completely, which is impossible at this point. The movie was pushing more towards the idea that screen time should be reduced and toys should be played with more. That's why I think it's so important that something as familiar and nostalgic as the Toy Story franchise is delivering this message. I mean, these guys are the ultimate toys. They are the Avengers of toys. If you're gonna get a kid to feel bad for neglecting their toy for an iPad, then these are your guys. So a lot of people are probably asking, did we really need this movie? Is this just a money grab? And I think the reason people feel this way was because they thought Toy Story 4 was a bit of a miss, even though in my opinion it wasn't even that bad of a movie. And honestly, I think everybody should just forget that ever happened because it shouldn't take away from the fact that this film is quality and it is good. I mean, it's just full of moments that pull on your heartstrings. An example of that is even this side plot at the beginning where there were like an army of Buzz Lightyears on a desert island. I found it kind of hard to understand where that was going. I thought I missed something from the last movie, but it ended up being a really heartwarming link up to the first movie. Like the Buzz that we know, these new Buzz Lightyears have to learn that they are toys and that their purpose is to make a kid happy. And talking about emotional moments, what helped was the fact that this movie was visually stunning. The animation was perfect, which is what I would expect with a $150 million to $200 million budget. I mean, you're probably paying the voice actors like half of that. I don't know how it works, but I would expect the other half is going into making this animation as perfect as it can be, and Pixar delivered, so thanks. And speaking of voice actors, I think it's safe to say that one of the reasons that Toy Story never misses is because there is always so much life in every character. There was enough life to convince me as a kid that my toys came to life when I was asleep. Who knows, maybe they do. And even in the big 2026, the voice acting is pretty much perfect. One of the main things that I've seen people complain about was the fact that the message of Toy Story 5 was that tech isn't all bad or that it isn't inherently bad. Although the LilyPad ends up having a negative effect on Bonnie, this isn't because its aim is to inflict harm on Bonnie. It's because, like the other toys, its goal is to do what it thinks is best for the child that it has been chosen for. And this is actually why the side plot of the army of new Buzzes works so well, because it reminds us that these toys had to learn to take care of the child that chose them, and so the LilyPad has to do the same. However, you may argue that a LilyPad is a lot different to an analog toy like Woody, for example. I mean, it's not really a toy, it's a device or a tool. So is it okay to make those parallels? Honestly, I don't know, but the question is, where do you draw the line? We were also introduced to a lot of electronic toys. For example, Smarty Pants, who is actually voiced by Conan O'Brien, by the way. Smarty Pants is a potty training toy who has been neglected by Blaze, one of the kids in this movie. And the same thing happened to other electronic toys like Atlas and Snappy. So it's obvious that these guys are a lot more comparable to analog toys like Woody and Jessie, whereas a tablet device is constantly fighting to not be neglected. You know, it's bright and flashy, has a bunch of apps on it, has a million software updates to make itself more exciting and appealing to you, although I do think my phone genuinely gets worse every time I update it, so there's that. So I don't think we can compare a tablet to a toy, but let me know what you guys think. I understand that Toy Story has begun to sort of give the impression of a Stranger Things kind of thing, where there are just so many characters all along for the ride, and a lot of them get sidelined, but I don't really think that the neglection of some characters was that big of a problem in this movie, especially because it meant that we could actually focus on Bonnie, and that made things so so much more interesting because it meant that we could in real time see how this device was impacting her psychologically, and so it meant that it was that much more personal. The first 4 Toy Story movies were concerned with the actual toys and them getting neglected for newer, shinier toys, but now with devices, the movie is saying, hey, this is actually bigger than Woody and Jessie and Buzz. Yes, you toys will be neglected, but not by other toys this time, by something bigger and mightier, something that will change kids themselves forever. But anyways, I really like this movie. If it was a money grab, then it was a money grab of quality, I guess. I don't know what that means. But I don't think we need to be overly negative. I do think they were trying to create something interesting here, and I have to applaud that. But thank you for watching, and see you guys in the next video.